Katha Upanishad, Nachiketa and Yama, a secret to immortality. The Katha Upanishad is an important ancient Sanskrit corpus of the Vedanta subschools and an influential Shruti to the diverse schools of Hinduism. It asserts that Atman self exists, teaches the percept, seeks self knowledge, which is highest bliss, and expounds on this premise like the other primary Upanishads of Hinduism. The detailed teachings of Katha Upanishad have been variously interpreted as Dvaita dualistic and as Advaita non dualistic. It is among the most widely studied Upanishads. Katha Upanishad was translated into Persian in the 17th century, copies of which were then translated into Latin and distributed in Europe. Other philosophers such as Arthur Schopenhauer praised it, Edwin Arnold rendered it in verse as the secret of death, and Ralph Waldo Emerson credited Katha Upanishad for the central story at the end of his essay Immortality, as well as his poem Brahma. This story is a conversation between Nachiketa, a young boy, and Yama, the lord of death. The teacher is Yama, the death himself, and the student is a young Nachiketa in his teens. In ancient India, there was Vajrasvas, a famous person. He was performing a sacrifice named Vishwajit Yajna. In this yajna, the performer had to give away his wealth. It was a unique occasion. The place was beautifully decorated. Many rishis attended and they were chanting the mantras while offering to the holy fire. Cows were designated as valuable and special positions in those very ancient days, and hence Vajrasvas decided to donate all his cows to Brahmins. Nachiketa was in his teens and he was observing the sacrificial ritual with innocent interest. He was surprised to notice that his father was giving away only old and disabled cows. Those cows who had given their milk for a long time and who were not capable of bearing calves. This worldly cleverness of his father brought a lot of change in the heart of the young boy. Nachiketa, in order to dissuade his father from giving old cows, asked, "O father, whom have you decided to give me away?" The purpose of the boy was to stop his father to do such things. At first, his father did not take any notice of this childish question, but Nachiketa was insistent. He repeated the question thrice when the irritated father said, "Nachiketa, I give you to the god death." Vajrasvas did not mean what he said. He had uttered these words in anger. No father would like to send their son away to the land of death. Nachiketa decided to obey the words of his father by going to the abode of Yama. Vajrasvas asked his little son to stay back. Nachiketa was very firm. Folding his hands, he told his father that the ancestors never went back on their words, and he would like to follow the same. He wanted his father to follow the same tradition. Nachiketa knew that all the things in this world are temporary and he was not afraid of death. He understood that following the path of truth is the gateway to heaven. Vajrasvas was very sad but gave him permission as a follower of truth. Nachiketa left for the abode of Yama. When Nachiketa reached the abode of Yama, he found that Yama was not at home, so he waited for him for 3 days without food or water. Yama went to Nachiketa and said, "You are an honored Atiti, an honored guest. You have stayed at my house for 3 days without food. Therefore, you can ask 3 wishes from me, one for each night." Nachiketa's first wish was that Yama discharge him from the abode of death back to his family, and that his father can be calm, well disposed, not resentful, and the same as he was before when he returns. Yama grants the first wish immediately. For his second wish, Nachiketa prefaces his request with the statement that heaven is a place where there is no fear, no anxiety, no old age, no hunger, no thirst, no sorrow. He then asks Yama to be instructed as to the proper execution of fire ritual that enables a human being to secure heaven. Yama responds by detailing the fire ritual, including how bricks should be arranged and how the fire represents the building of the world. Nachiketa remembers what Yama tells him. Yama, and he declares that this fire ritual will thereafter be called the Nachiketa fires. Yama asks that along with 3 Nachiketa fires, anyone who respects 3 bonds with mother, father, and teacher, does 3 kinds of karma, ritual, studies, and charity, and understands the knowledge therein, becomes free of sorrow. In this third wish, Nachiketa then asks Yama about the doubt that human beings have about what happens after a person dies. Does he continue to exist in another form or not? The expression of reluctance by Yama is in giving a straight yes or no answer. Yama states that even the gods doubt and are uncertain about that question and urges Nachiketa to pick another wish. Nachiketa says that if gods doubt that, then he Yama as deity of death ought to be the only one who knows the answer. Yama offers him all sorts of worldly wealth and pleasures instead. But Nachiketa says human life is short, asks Yama to keep the worldly wealth and pleasures to himself, declares that pompous wealth, lust, and pleasures are fleeting and vain, then insists on knowing the nature of Atman, self, and sticks to his question what happens after death. Yama begins his teachings by distinguishing between prayer, dear, pleasant, gratifying, and shreya, good, beneficial, excellence. Different is the good and different is the dear, they both having different aims, fetter you men. He who chooses for himself the good comes to well being. He who chooses the dear loses the goal. The good and the dear approach the man. The wise man, pondering over both, distinguishes them. The wise one chooses the good over the dear. The fool, acquisitive and craving, chooses the dear. He, the Atman, difficult to be seen, full of mystery, the ancient, primeval one, concealed deep within. He who by yoga means of meditation on his self comprehends Atman within him as God. He leaves joy and sorrow far behind. The seer, Atman, self, is not born, nor does he die. He does not originate from anybody, nor does he become anybody. Eternal, ancient one, he remains eternal. He is not killed, even though the body is dead. If the killer thinks that he kills, if the kill thinks that he is killed, they do not understand, for this one does not kill, nor is that one get killed. The self Atman, smaller than small, greater than great, is hidden in the heart of each creature. Free from avarice, free from grief, peaceful and content, he sees the supreme glory of Atman. Know that the Atman is the rider in the chariot, and the body is the chariot. Know that the buddhi, intelligence, ability to reason, is the charioteer, and manas, mind, is the reins. The senses are called the horses. The objects of the senses are their paths, formed out of the union of the Atman, the senses and the mind. Him they call the enjoyer. Rise, awake, having obtained these boons, understand them. Like the razor's sharp edge is difficult to traverse, the path to one's self is difficult. What is left here? Truly, this is that Atman. Some of these selves enter into the womb in order to embody again into organic beings. Others assemble unto what is sthanu, immovable things, according to their karma, according to their srutam, knowledge learning. Only when manas, mind with thoughts and the five senses stand still, and when buddhi, intellect, power to reason does not waver, that they call the highest path. That is what one calls yoga, the stillness of the senses, concentration of the mind. It is not thoughtless, heedless sluggishness. Yoga is creation and dissolution.